right, what's up guys? Anytime I'm looking at anybody's hair, I'm analyzing immediately, right? Like I'm seeing what do I want to do? Do I want to create any unevenness on purpose, right? Anytime you create shape, you have to do it with purpose. Everything you do is with purpose, right? What I'm thinking about doing is obviously he's pushing for that crop top, right? Like it's pushing forward. He can wake up in the morning and it look good, right? With the back, I'm thinking, all right, do I want to leave it darker throughout the sides? Do I want to tuck them in? Do I want it more of a mullet, like a modern mullet kind of thing? You start analyzing these things beforehand. I also look at what his hair is trying to tell me. Do you guys believe that like hair talks? Like hair talks, right? So you gotta be able to listen. So first thing I'm gonna do is look at his cowlick, see what the cowlick's trying to do. You see how this hair is pushing this way over the cowlick? It's not meant to go over here. That's why it's creating volume. So we want to comb it all out so it's laying as natural as it possibly can. You can already see that it's already doing what we want it to do, right? So I'm gonna wet it down and recomb everything. I'm always gonna start with the top first. Most of the time, the reason why I start with the top and create the shape first is so I can cut into the shape and not cut through the shape. Does that make sense? So from the cowlick, I'm gonna use that as a reference point and I'm gonna push forward and just, again, letting the hair do what it wants to do. All I'm gonna do is just emphasize on it. Just make it as natural as you can. This is where I gotta determine the weight. Do I wanna keep it heavy? Do I wanna keep it light? Whatever you want, you gotta start creating it there. Can you guys see like the horseshoe is not perfect, right? We don't want it to be perfect. We want it to be perfect for his head shape and how his head is formed. The foundation is gonna determine the length. I'm gonna comb everything down. I don't wanna take off too much just because I wanna keep length. I'm gonna take off about that much. So I'm gonna cut here. So I'm gonna cut here and I'm gonna go all the way around, creating a foundation. I'm gonna start creating that foundation. You guys can already see that blunt horizontal line, right? I want it to be blunt. The more you focus on the foundation, the more easy it is gonna be when you start working into the bottom and working on the top. Take all your time on the foundation. The more time you take on the foundation, the clearer it is to finish the haircut. Now working to the sides. If I keep it flush to the head, zero elevation. Do you guys know what elevation means? How high you hold something, how low you hold something. My elevation on the side is zero elevation. So that means I'm holding it flush to the head. If I hold it flush to the head, that's equivalent to a number 3 guard blending right into it. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna go flush to the head, finger length.
You guys are more than welcome to come.
So that's the foundation that I'm creating. Again, we can still see that horizontal line, yeah? So I am. Again, creating that horizontal line all across. Keeping it flush to the head, zero elevation on the right side. Again, we can see that horizontal line, that's fine. Because once I make a line this way and pull out diagonal forward, you can see the foundation right there. Do you guys see that? All I gotta do is cut it down and now it's connected, right? So the more blunt horizontal line you make right here, the better, just like that. Okay, now that I have my horizontal line, I'm gonna start creating vertical lines, okay? I'm gonna make one center part. I'm gonna find my guide. That's all I'm gonna do, is connect. And now we just connected the foundation to the bottom. And I'm just gonna do another section here, one more section here, and then we're done with the back pretty much. So I'm gonna grab everything, pull everything out, see my foundation. Cut. Found my foundation, it's up here. Cut down. And now the back's a lot more connected. It was crazy at first, now it's connected. If you guys want to add texture, you guys can add texture in so many different ways, right? You can add texture by lifting the hair and coming at it by point cutting if you want. The more horizontal you go at it, the softer it is. The more vertical, the more shattered it is, right? If you want it slice cutting, you can come down and slice through if you want super dramatic texture. Okay, now that we finished that, I'm gonna do the very top. To the sides, I still see a little bit of weight line, and all I'm gonna do is connect. Zero elevation again. Let me make that more perfect actually. There we go. Let me perfect it. And then we should be able to already flow into it. Okay, let's do this. We'll keep the right side heavy. Let's go soft on the left side. That means instead of doing zero elevation and cutting here with my previous guide, I'm gonna lift, find my previous guide, it's right underneath, and I'm gonna cut. And then as I'm going to the front, I'm gonna start going back to zero elevation so I can keep it heavy in the front. And same thing with texture, right? Depends what kind of texture you wanna create. We almost wanna cut like this way, just so we can emphasize on the heaviness right here. So in the front, we're gonna do a small trim, small little point cutting. And then as we start getting to the back, I'm gonna start angling my fingers diagonal up, softening the left side, but keeping it heavy on the right. We're gonna do a little bit of channel cutting on the top. Same thing, when you do channel cutting, you don't wanna close your shear, you wanna nibble. You're gonna glide through the hair, right? You go in and nibble, creating, you're gonna shatter it. Okay, just like that. Same thing, I'm gonna come from behind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna add some product in it, blow dry it, and then we'll start the fade, work into the shape. So I'm gonna be using a matte finish paste. We have some 245 matte finish paste down here. I'm gonna work it in the hair while it's still wet, almost like a pre-dry product, right? You're gonna get it all in there before you start blow drying. Do you see how much heavier the right side is? Again, it's because we kept it with 0 elevation and we lifted our angles this way, slightly making it softer to heaviness, right? Right now, because the hair is still wet, I'm gonna go medium. Okay, let's get it dry. Let's get it, once the hair starts drying out, we're gonna go low speed, low heat, so we have all control. Now that hair is almost dry, I'm gonna go low speed, low heat for the most control. Notice that I'm always pinching, scrunching up. The second you use your comb, you're gonna flatten it out. So just have purpose. I'm gonna add some hairspray. Anytime you guys add hairspray, don't spray directly at it. If you spray directly at it, like this close, it's gonna add shine. You gotta come from the side. There you go. Almost let the hairspray land on it rather than spray at it. Does that make sense? So I like to fade down. So I'm gonna start with the highest guard first and then work down to the 0. My number 2. So I got my number 2 guard on. Notice that I'm not using my number 2 guard down here. There's no point. If I know that this is gonna be a 0, there's no point in me using the number 2, right? So you gotta save time. Start at the very top. Do my 1.5 guard now, right under the 2. I'm gonna start blending it into it. Stay very light on your hands. Okay, now I'm gonna get my number 1 guard. Now I'm gonna get my half guard. I'm gonna start right under where my number 1 was.
Offer 30% discount on all of our products, guys. We've never done that before. 30% off of everything. Every purchase will be associated with a shave gel as well. All right, guys, take advantage of these savings.
So on to my last step. There's no guard on. And notice that I'm keeping this very dark. As soon as I'm done with this last part, I'm gonna create those lines. Let's start to work this line up. That's where it's gonna pop. This is literally 0 enhancements, nothing, right? I'm gonna do it to the back as well. Using the corner of my blade, I'm gonna texture it, right? Just soften it up. Anytime you see any type of small little heaviness, you guys can use point cutting, again, just to soften it up. You guys can see that I can create this really fast by just fading down. You guys can see how fading down can be quicker too, right? I'm not creating any guidelines, I'm just blending it into the guard.
All right, guys, we got the Tune 45 wireless charger mat. What make this so unique, this is actually what kind of revolutionized the whole barber game, because it was like the first ever barber mat that gave you the capabilities of charging your clipper wirelessly. All it needs is a wireless adapter that fits the clipper that it coincides with. You place it on the mat and it charges wirelessly. No more messy wires around your station, on or around it. You have 4 independent charging slots, as well as an additional one that you can use for your either wireless air press compressor, or you can use it for your cell phone to charge while you're cutting. All right, just give you that peace of mind that your tools will be charged as well as your cell phone. Get yours today at tune45.com.
This left side, I'm gonna go a little bit more fast, okay? So my 2, working from my number 2 guard, now down to my 1.5. I'm not even using the lever, I'm just trying to stay very light-handed. Remember, when I get to the front, all I'm gonna do is just go make this motion instead of straight across, just to keep it more natural, looking like it's enhanced. Number 1. My half guard. But every time I use my guards, I'll have my thumb on the lever. So as I'm going up on the scalp, look at my thumb, I'm pushing the lever down and I'm blending right into the guard right above it. Then when I pull back out, I'll reset and go back in. So it'll look like this. Does that make sense? That's why you guys can see that I did like a very small little guideline, but then I quickly moved my lever up and I blended it right out completely, right? Only look at my thumb. Gotcha. See how I'm flicking out? And that's how I can blend it. Using the lever technique. And if I did it correctly, this should just blend immediately. Just like that. I don't have to worry about taking or knocking out any guideline. It does it for me as I'm fading down. You guys can see how much longer hair we have, right? Again, with that technique, you're gonna make it look naturally enhanced. But if you guys do want enhancements, we have some for $245. Not saying don't do it.
Hands-on course right here in Utah, all right, January 21st to the 24th. It hasn't even been posted.
Does it look enhanced again? That's the goal, right? I can either throw a design in there if I want. So I'm gonna make it whiter here and then thinner up to the top. Tap, 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 wiggle. Now I'm gonna turn it around. Something like that. I'm gonna be using 245 shaving gel. Everything's 30% off. This will make it easier for the blade to slip through and apply it on the design. Pulling the skid down using 245 shaving gel. All I'm gonna do is open that up. Last side. It look good? I'm almost done. I was finishing up, doing some last little final touches.